Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to talk about how to manage change successfully as a manager. There are many managers who come to me and say, Angie, we really struggle with leading a change because there was a lot of people who are resistant to change. They don't want to accept it and just disregard it, right? And I understand it because I was there and I knew how it was in the beginning of my managerial career when I had to actually explain certain things and implement new policies where some managers, where some employees were actually against it and they couldn't even actually justify why they're against it. And that's why I understand the feeling when managers come to me and say that, because I tried different ways. I tried different, theories, strategies, everything that some people were sharing with me. And of course, majority of them worked, but they didn't work completely how actually I expected to be done and how I expected employees to start really, accepting it the way it is. Let's firstly start from the very important point is that we as a human beings, we are resistant to change because our brain doesn't accept the change because it requires a lot of energy to absorb, to understand, to implement, to do it. Therefore, we as a humans are very resistant to change. And this is something that we need to work on, and we need to develop our growth mindset in order to push our brain and go out of that comfort zone to adapt to the change, to accept the change and take the best out of it. And a lot of people struggle with that because a lot of people are not even aware of that their brain tricks them and actually resist against it, because the brain's function is basically to save us, to protect us from discomfort, from something new, because the brain knows that we need to actually add additional energy to understand it and of course fully embrace it. So how basically we can trick our brain and how we can understand, okay, hey, here this change is something that needs to be done because of the reasons X, Y, Z, right? And how basically I work now with my employees and how I actually advise my clients, managers who come to me and ask me about it is the following way. And I want to share with you, so try it and you'll see that works very well. First of all, you need to understand that your people will be very resistant because of the reason I explained. So now how you approach with that? It's always extremely important when you're implementing new changes or you're delivering something new to explain the reason why you're doing it. A lot of managers, they just keep that part. They just come and say, here is a new strategy. Here is a new project, new policy. We need to implement it. CEO said so, and that's it, right? Of course, if you come with this attitude and this approach, people will be very resistant because people basically are like wondering, hey, this is not exactly what I want. I don't want, you just come to us and say this kind of things. We don't even get it, why we need to do this. And I understand. Now you might say, hey, this is their job. They have to do it. I understand. They have to do it. It's part of their job. There's no question mark about it. But if you want to be actually a very great leader that people really want to follow, you need to also put yourself in their shoes and to try to understand why is this happening. Very important thing to explain all the benefits of the change to people, because when people hear the benefits of the change for themselves, first of all, not just for you or for the company, but in general, they are more inclined to accept it. So, of course, in the beginning, there will be a little bit of resistance, even if they hear benefits, but you need to start with that. First of all, explain the why and explain the benefits of the change. Second of all, then say that implementation is not going to be that hard if we all, as a team, actually embrace it and we work together to do it, right? And then you also involve this a little bit of teamwork into the whole situation, right? So these are already two things that you can actually start with, where people will be like, okay, now it makes sense, right? And then very important point number 3 is to, get the feedback from the people, what they think about the change, what they actually, how they observe it. Do they think it's very hard to implement? What they see as a potential challenges, obstacles, or whatever it is, right? And then you can actually try to see, okay, sit down, listen to them, accept it, try to understand it, and then of course take it from there and see what you can do about it, how you can actually make the process maybe more easier, so they don't really, get so confused with the process, with the steps and so on, right? So these are the three very crucial and important points. Start with why, explain the benefits, then of course get their buy-in and say that everything also depends on them and that you really rely on them and that you really know how they can work as a team to implement it. And number three, to hear their actually point of view based on the input that you provided to them. So then you can actually take it from there and see, okay, how you can support them and how you can work them together in order to implement this change and to be good for everybody, right? So very important thing is in the last step is that you need to actually give them their word to say something about it, right? So if you like this video, please hit that like button. Of course, subscribe to this channel. And until next time, stay ambitious.